People always do these storytime speed paints, and I can't really think of a song to put in the background of the speed paint I put together, so I guess I'm gonna tell a story. And I couldn't think of a really suiting story, so we're gonna go with the time my cousin almost killed me. That's not a joke, he almost killed me. So, I don't exactly know how old I was, but it was before my grandpa passed away, so I had to have been like 6 or 7, no older than that, maybe younger. And we were at my cousin's place, and they live about a 4 hour drive away from us. And we were there, and that was cool because I like being there. It's a really nice place. They had a really nice place, actually. They had a really big house, and it was in a really small neighborhood, so there wasn't a bunch of like city stuff, which is cool because I grew up in a place that was, well, I live in a place that's pretty close to a city, so it was pretty neat to see a property where they were just kind of in the middle of nowhere. I mean, they were literally a ferry ride away from the closest city, so it was pretty far. And we, they had a really big willow tree, and I mean really big. They had a 2-story house, like, above ground, so they didn't have a basement house. The willow tree was higher than the house, and it was like a tall house too. It's one of those older style ones where like it's really big. I don't know what they're like in any other place in the world, but here in BC, like those old style houses are usually really tall. So they had a really tall house, and an even taller willow tree. It was a huge tree, and they had a tree fort up in it. And first of all, this tree fort had like the most unsafe ladder in the world. It had like just 2x4s. Not even 2x4s, they were just like planks of wood nailed to the tree. That was how you got up. It wasn't a real ladder, so it was so unsafe. But, I mean, that's okay. I mean, you trust these children to climb a really rickety ladder. I mean, of course, it's gonna be kind of crazy. My cousin, he is 3 years older than me. He's either 3 or 4 years, I'm not sure. But I know my brother's 3 years older than me, so he's either the same age as my brother or a bit older, I don't know. And then I have a little cousin who I believe is 2 years younger than me. So she was really young at the time, but she was walking, so I couldn't have been like 5, because that'd make her 3, and she wouldn't be walking and talking fluent English, but she was, so. My, cousins live right beside my grandma, and my grandma's had like a really clean yard, and a yard of hell, which the grass was like 3 feet tall and all dead, and there were snakes and stuff, and like most children were terrified to come near it. They called the yards heaven and hell. That's not a joke. But anyway, my cousins kind of separated themselves into groups in a sense, where my little cousin, she really liked hanging out with me, and my older cousin, he really liked hanging out with my brother, which makes sense, you know, like females attract females, although I'm a boy, but, you know, yeah, as a little kid, I didn't know what transgender was, let alone that I was one, so, for sake of the story, I was a little girl, and then my little cousin was a little girl, so we connected to each other, and then my brother and my older cousin, they were both little boys, so they connected really well. And, my little cousin and I need to come up with a fake name for her. We're gonna go with, name them after Artemis Fowl characters, fuck it. So, my little cousin Holly, she and I had been playing in the really nice field for a while, and then we walked up sort of to this mine that was sort of out of the way, and that was cool, and my older cousin, we're gonna call him Artemis, I guess, screw it. Artemis and my older brother had climbed the willow tree fort. So they were, like, way up in the air, crazy high. And Holly and I came back to her house and from the mine, and we considered going to the lake, because they live close to the lake, too. They had the prettiest property. I wish I lived there. But, so we went to the lake for a bit. We came back, we were so bored. We'd done, like, everything that was possible, because there wasn't a lot of technology available. We couldn't just walk into the Legion pub, because they're not gonna let small children into the Legion pub, obviously. So, we decided that we were gonna hang out with my brother and Artemis. So, my cousin Holly, and I almost called her real name, Holly and I were kind of standing at the bottom of the tree, and Artemis and my brother were up there, and I asked if we could come up, and my brother says, no girls allowed. And Holly is like, it's fine. Just climb up anyway, and then they'll have to let us in. But I decided to try democracy first, I guess, so I offered them, like, turns at the shop. Sorry, I'm, like, eating food. I offered them turns at the little, like, sort of, like, stepping stone thing that was in my grandma's yard. And they said that wasn't enough. And then I offered to buy them candy at the shop that was up the road. And somehow that still wasn't a strong enough bargain for, like, 7 to 8-year-old boys. I don't know what kids want these days. But that wasn't enough, so I told them they were being mean, and I'd tell Mom. My older brother said, do it, she won't care. So my cousin, almost called her a real name again, Holly is like, just climb up, just go. And I was like, why can't you? And she's like, you're older, so you have to go first. And you know what? Fine, that's fair. I will go first. So I start climbing the ladder, and the boys are like, you better not come up here. But I kept going, and they started to try to shake the tree, but I don't know how much leeway 2, like, 7 to 8-year-olds are gonna get on, like, a massive ancient willow tree, so it didn't shake at all, but they tried. They were, like, jumping back and forth in that tree fort. It was crazy. I just kept going, because, you know, they're not actually shaking the tree. And I get to the top, and I'm about to step on, and my older cousin, Artemis, tries to shove me out of the tree. So, I'm 5'2" now, and I'm 17, so obviously I'm not a tall person. I was especially short when I was 5, 6 years old. So, I'm falling from this, like, over 2-story tall willow tree, and I am probably around 3 feet tall. I don't know how well my body would have coped with that impact, but luckily I didn't fall, because I just clung on. And he was trying to push me. And then my dear sweet brother, who cares about his siblings so much, comes along and is yelling at my cousin Artemis to push harder. Yes, he was urging this on. My cousin Holly ran away and got my grandfather, I don't remember who she got. It was either him or my uncle. It was probably my uncle, actually. She went and got my uncle, and he came back and was like, what? Don't push her out of the tree. And I'm like, yes, don't push him out of the tree. Don't let him fall. And so Artemis and my brothers stopped pushing, and I climbed down and clung to my uncle because that was the scariest thing ever. Did I mention that there was a fence right under the willow tree? And it was like one of those sharp old-style fences too, so if I had fallen out of the willow tree, I literally would have been impaled. Probably. I either would have been impaled on the fence or I would have landed on the cement. Either way, like, baby child me is not gonna cope with that impact well. So yeah, that's about it. It took a lot of build-up, I'm sorry, but that's the story of the time my cousin almost killed me. Enjoy the speed paint. Thanks. Yeah.